Chapter 6, Nicole's Decision. Rody woke up aching all over his body. This was especially true for the places where he had been kicked by the horse. It felt like some of his bones were broken. He could not even move a single finger. Rody immediately realized that he was being restrained with magic. The thought of this dampened his hopes, like a pot of cold water being poured over him. Sure enough, he immediately saw Nicole's beautiful face. However, her face was seething with anger and hatred. Nicole sat on the chair as she glared angrily at Rody, who was lying on the floor. She was sitting on an animal skin chair, wrapped in a large robe. When she saw Rody's lips, she noticed the bite marks on it. She could not help but blush. This bastard actually dared to do it. This bashful feeling only lasted for a moment and slowly turned to disgust as she looked at Rody's yin-yang face. Listen. I will be asking you questions. You better answer honestly, otherwise, you will regret being born to this world. Nicole lowered her voice and gnashed her teeth. Rody could not speak nor nod. He could only look at Nicole blankly. If you agree, blink. Nicole continued, I do not like flowery words. The less you say the better. When I ask you questions, you are to answer yes or no. Blink if you want to say yes, and if the answer is no, do not blink. Understand? Rody blinked. Good. Seeing Rody complying, Nicole's anger calmed down a little bit. Then I shall ask you the first question. Do you want to die? Rody immediately straightened himself, opened his eyes wide and stared. He was afraid he might accidentally blink. If so, he would be dead. Since you do not want to die, why did you break into my home so late at night? What do you want? Did someone order you to come? Rody continued to stare and did not blink. Nicole frowned and shouted, you better be honest. Do not try to be crafty. No one ordered you, but you dared to sneak in here? Yet you say you are not lying? God is my witness. Rody had been staring for a long time. Unfortunately, his eyes could not withstand the dryness and he blinked twice involuntarily. Nicole got furious. Immediately she flicked her fingers and a bright flame shot towards him. Rody could not even scream when his scalp caught fire. Even his eyebrows were almost charred. Fortunately, Nicole had no intention of seriously harming him and the small flame soon died out. Even then, Rody's scalp was already burned in some places. The loss of some hair was certain. At that moment, the beautiful girl no longer looked pleasant. If Rody could speak, he would definitely curse her ancestors. You bastard. Don't you dare to be dishonest. Nicole spoke coldly, I will put you in your place. Don't you dare to take advantage of. When she said those words, Nicole's face turned red again. At that moment, Rody strained to keep his eyes open wide, trying hard not to blink accidentally. I am going to continue to ask you questions. You listen carefully. Think before you answer. Nicole's face was stern. Rody blinked once. Nicole sneered and lifted her finger as she moved her hands. Rody felt the tension on his body loosen. The magical bindings were now undone. Now I am going to ask you questions. Why did you break into my house at night? Rody's eyes turned around and he was just about to fabricate a reason when Nicole's face turned pitch black. She shot another flame out. Fortunately, Rody was able to dodge it this time. Even then, the flame managed to burn a hole in his pants. You had better be honest. I forgot to warn you. I am a senior magician. I can read facial expressions. I can tell if you are lying. So you better not make me angry. Nicole said sternly. Rody was shocked now, not staring to cover up anymore. He told the story about how they attacked the carriage, how he wanted to save his companion and how he secretly sneaked into her house. Nicole nodded. Well, now tell me, why did you attack my carriage? Rody smiled dryly. I also do not know. However, I suspect that we have got the wrong target. According to the man in the bar, our target should have a grade 3 swordsman guard. On the other hand, you only had a stable hand. Nicole pondered for a moment and finally said, I see. Coincidentally, I happened to be down that path tonight. That was why you idiots stared to ambush me, right? Rody hurriedly exclaimed, I would not dare think of attacking you, a god. To attack the Tulip family. I don't have so many heads. Nicole slightly taunted in a whisper, Tulip family? So you actually know our family name? Rody sighed, of course I know the Imperial Army's God of War's family. I certainly do. Nicole nodded. Rody's words were like music to her ears, so her tone eased a little and she continued to ask, "So, who are you? What do you do?" Rody was about to compose a series of nonsense, but after looking at Nicole's stare, he did not dare tell lies. "Miss, I really do not want to lie, but my identity is special. If I tell you, my future is gone." "Oh?" With a strange smile, Nicole asked, "Well then, who are you?" "No. I cannot tell." Rody shook his head. "Unless you can promise not to send me to public security. I am willing to be punished for tonight's actions." "Punishment?" Nicole suddenly flared up. "You can't repent enough for your actions tonight, even if you die 1,000 times. Don't you dare bargain with me. Did you forget your discourtesy to me?" Seeing that Nicole was about to act violently, Rody decided to step back and prepare himself. Fortunately, Nicole controlled her temper and calmed down. She relented and declared, "Fine. I will not send you to public security. I will punish you personally. Now tell me your name and who you are." "My name is Rody. I am a student at the Imperial Academy." "A commoner student," Rody replied with a blush. After all, for a student of the Imperial Academy to go outside the city at night to commit robbery, it was not glorious at all. "An Imperial Academy's student?" exclaimed Nicole with surprise. "Yes, I am under training." While straightening his posture, Rody said, "I am going to participate in the swordplay exam next month. After that, I will officially become a warrior." Nicole did not seem interested in this topic, as her face sank. "Well, since you are also an Imperial Academy student, then you tell me." Her voice became gloomy and her words became slower. "Do you know my brother Seth? Tell me. Where has he gone?" Glumly, Rody replied, "I do not know your brother, or rather, I did not know him until tonight." "That means you saw him tonight?" Nicole immediately sat down on her chair. "Do you know where he went?" Rody nodded. "I know, he seemed to have told me." Nicole rose from her chair. "Tell me where he went." Rody's eyes twitched and whispered, "I can tell you, but on one condition." Nicole, startled, demanded angrily, "You dare bargain with me?" Rody quickly lowered his head and whispered, "I am not asking this for myself but for my friend. In fact, he was also caught tonight. This was also because of me. He wanted to help me raise my tuition fees. That was why he did this. I just wish to ask you to forgive him. I am willing to bear all punishments." Nicole was surprised. This boy was younger than her only by a year or two, yet he had unexpected courage. In fact, she was very angry with that night's incident. The thought of being molested by this yin-yang faced boy made her furious and unable to control her rage. However, when she calmed down, Nicole realized that this little thief was just a child. He was barely as old as her brother, who was 2 years younger than her. Yet this boy, although he looked timid and fearful, was brave enough to accept the responsibility for the incident for the safety of his friend. He was willing to accept all punishment. On the other hand, her brother was crafty and had never shown a man's courage, not even once. That infuriating person actually left behind a letter and ran away from home. He abandoned the family's glory and responsibilities. Nicole could not help but sigh helplessly. "Rody, I promise not to punish your friend. I won't even pursue this matter anymore, but you have to tell me where my little brother went to." Rody immediately related the conversation between him and her brother. Before he could finish, Nicole growled angrily, "That idiot. He actually left behind his family and threw away his responsibilities. Left traveling and went abroad. He just left like that? He. Nicole became more and more agitated as she spoke. She almost fainted from anger. Rody warily looked at Nicole without saying a word. Only God knew if he were to say the wrong thing, chances were that this beautiful girl might harm him out of anger. Fortunately, Nicole's anger passed quickly. She walked back and forth a few steps before clapping and summoning a few guards. Nicole coldly issued her orders. "In view of tonight's security flaw, Senior Guard Milan, you are immediately suspended. Tomorrow, you will go back to the army. Even a low-leveled warrior was able to sneak into my house. I can only describe you, a senior guard, as a bungling oaf." Nicole's voice was cold and imposing. One of the guards turned pale and started to sweat. He must be that unlucky guard. Nicole did not look at him but continued, Tie this guy up and throw him into the firewood store together with the other guy I caught. I heard that the kitchen is short of an odd job worker. Send that guy I caught to the kitchen. As for this guy, Nicole looked at Rody coldly. From tomorrow onwards, he will be my groom. Rody argued loudly, but you promised to release my friend. Also, I still wish to return to the academy. Nicole coldly shouted, shut up. I am already incensed tonight. You said you would accept any punishment. This is your punishment. Tomorrow onwards you will serve as my servant. All right, Rody thought for a moment. Either way, things had already ended in failure. Even if he were to go back to the academy, he would not have any money to pay the tuition fees and would not be able to study anyway. However, he still needed to fight for his friend. But you promised to release my friend. Nicole raised her head. So what? You did not keep your word. Rody said, angrily. Nicole gently smiled as she looked at Rody. I am a woman. Don't you know? Not keeping promises is a woman's privilege. Rody was speechless. After all, he was young and did not have any experience dealing with women. Nicole thought for a while and then instructed another guard, also go to the academy and inform the academy that my brother has gone to recuperate for health reasons. He has been sent to another province by the family to rest and has to stop school. Approximately 3 months. He will be back in 3 months' time. As she said that, she gave Rody a meaningful look. Rody could not help but shudder.